Today's topic is about food, health, and enjoyment. This is only part 1. There will be more coming later. When we eat, we don't eat just for survival only. There's more than that. We eat for both health and enjoyment. And we can achieve both with moderation and balance. And remember, don't force feed yourself with something or anything that somebody says is good. You have to really know that that's something that you force feed yourself is going to bring health and enjoyment for you. On the other hand, you also have to be open-minded, and you will be should be willing to modify your eating habits. Let me talk about the various influences on the food you eat. First of all is the cultural influence, because people live in different places and they have different cultural habits. So these two factors will produce different diets. And there is a huge variety of diets around the world, but when you compare them, you can find that some cultural diets tend to produce more obesity, cholesterol, and high blood sugar. So these are the 3 commonly used objective way to measure health. There may be more. And I also want to give you a very funny comment about the diversity of Chinese food. It is said that the Chinese eat anything with 4 legs except the table. And it is also said that they eat anything that flies except an airplane. Haha. That is funny, but that is also partly true. I cannot deny the fact. I also want to let the critics know that it may be funny, but they don't know what they are missing. Now let's come to geographic influence. This is another big factor that influences the diets of different peoples. Let's look at 3 countries. The American diet contains more beef and dairy products. Why? Because in America there is more open space. So raising cows is more economical. That is why their diet contains more beef and dairy products. Let's look at China with about the same size, but the Chinese diet has less beef and dairy. Why? Because they don't have that much open space. There's 3 times more people. So in China, in fact, there is overcrowding in some areas, especially in the coastal regions. That is why in the Chinese diet, pigs and chickens become more popular. There's more pigs and chickens content in the meat they eat because it's easier to raise. Now let's look at the Japanese diet. Japan has a size equal to that of California, but the Japanese population is about half the size of the US population. So there is no open space in Japan, and it's a lot of overcrowding. That is why Japanese food is relatively expensive, and they have to turn to the ocean. They rely on fish and seaweed harvested from the ocean due to overcrowding. In Japan, beef and fresh fruits are very expensive, and most of them are imported. Finally, we come to the biggest influence on the food we eat every day. Are you aware that what we eat depends a lot on what we hear, what we see on TV, and what somebody else say? So this is what we call infomercial. It's information, but the purpose is a commercial purpose. It's not health or enjoyment purpose. And this, sadly, is the greatest influence on the food that we eat every day. All you need is to look around and see the success of McDonald's, KFC, Coke, bottled water, energy bars, vitamin pills, and even pet foods. And all of these things offer two things in common: convenience and hype. Now, these what we call junk food have been out there for quite some time, and is beginning to produce a backlash, especially in America, because right now there is a new movement going on in American schools, which is to teach the kids to plant and harvest the vegetables from the school garden so that they can use them for school lunch. And this is a good thing to help instill some basic concepts of food into the kids' minds. Now, besides the food, we can talk about bottled water. Bottled water is just a recent phenomenon. If you look back 10 or 20 years ago, bottled water is not that popular. Why? I don't know. It suddenly got very popular. But I try to ask myself, I drank from the tap before the bottled water, and I never got sick. So how come people think that bottled water is so important right now? And also, bottled water is not very good for the environment. All you need is to ask how many discarded bottles got recycled. So a lot of the plastic discarded bottles got into the environment and pollute the environment. The other thing I want to talk about is vitamins. Vitamins, you don't need tons of them every day. All you need is a little bit every day. And where do you get them? You get them mostly from the food you eat. You don't have to get them from the pills. So all the vitamins are from the food. If you swallow the vitamin pills every day, just ask yourself, where is your enjoyment? Do you enjoy it? You only get the convenience, but there's no enjoyment there. The enjoyment is the food. Now we come to pet food. I'm amazed that many people believe that pets can only eat pet food. This is very funny. Pet food also is a recent phenomenon. If you look back 10 or 20 years ago, it's not that popular. So what I want to ask is, what did your dogs and cats eat before the businessmen invented the pet food? What do they eat? And what did they enjoy? All you need to do is to try to give some meat to your dog and try to give some fish to your cat. And you will see that after trying the fish and the meat, your pets won't eat pet food anymore. They don't like pet food. For them, pet food is no enjoyment.